weird. Yes, you did. Made it weird.
What's happening, weirdos? This is a very, very special episode. For those of you who have been listening to the show for a long time, are no stranger to the name Dr. Gary Penn. I always say whose book is available now. He's come up since the beginning. I mean, if you listen to the show in the early years, you saw in real time how his guidance and his wisdom shaped and changed my life. And you're about to listen to a real love fest that is filled with gems and guidance and wisdom, like I said, from him, and just stories about our time together and how I don't see him professionally anymore. First of all, let's get that out of the way. The idea that you go to therapy and they're like, oh, that's how they get you. You're going to be in therapy the rest of your life. I haven't seen Gary Penn, we realized, in 9 years. So he like installed his software in my brain, helped me, and now we got back together to talk to one another, and it was so wonderful, this beautiful friendship homecoming. So get ready for a real love fest and a lot of just beautiful, deep wisdom from this wonderful man who does have a book that is available now, and it's called I Can't Believe My Life Has Come to This. And you're also going to enjoy, I hope you're going to, I loved it. I hope you love it. This is an incredible chat. I'm so happy that it finally happened. Dr. Gary Penn is on the show today. And I don't have anything to plug up top. Isn't that great? Just my tour. Thanks to everybody who came to Largo last night. Go to PeteHolmes.com for tickets to shows. Lots of new cities coming up. I'm really happy about this new hour. Excited to be filming it in Minneapolis this coming weekend. But all the tour dates now and forever will always be on PeteHolmes.com. Hope you can see me on the road. And in the meantime, enjoy this incredible chat with my dear friend and one of my great teachers and mentors, Dr. Gary Penn. I'm so excited. Get into it. It's so nice to see you.
Pete.
Is this okay? Is this professionally okay?
It is. It's such a treat.
It's a treat. I've been looking forward to this since we booked it.
Yeah.
Because people might not know you're Dr. Gary Penn and you changed my life. I mean, it's absolutely true. I came to you at such an important time. I don't know what I'd love to hear what I don't want to talk the whole time because I'm used to doing that when I see you.
Please.
But this is the intro.
Yes.
This is the context that people need. I was in a very I don't know if you remember this. I was in a toxic relationship. Mm-hmm. Not that person's fault. I'm not just saying that to be kind. We just weren't a good match.
Yep.
A lot of things were right, but a lot of things just weren't.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who told me about you, but it was such a stroke of grace because I had seen a therapist before, and they were sort of more of the, and I love this as well, but they were more, they just listened. And you're more of you're like my Stutz, like the Jonah Hill movie.
Yeah.
You would give me advice,
mm-hmm.
and you got me out of this mire. And again, I really don't want to be unkind to that person, but it was just the wrong situation for both of us. And if I had stayed in it, I don't think, I was like 285. I was drinking constantly, like day drinking. She was a smoker, so I would smoke I blame her, but I would smoke cigarettes because I'm just with a smoker. I swear to God, I felt embarrassed that she was smoking and I wasn't. It was like deeply codependent.
Well, you've already rescued the person. It wasn't their fault. Like you're a caregiver.
I'm trying.
Yeah, it's like, Yeah, this guy hit my car, but God, his dent was bigger than mine.
Yeah. In his defense, I was in the way.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you got the real. I have to be somewhat public. You got me just being like, "This person inside," or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And that was such a gift. Mm-hmm. This is a long way to say you installed a Dr. Gary Penn in my brain, in my consciousness that I then went to. And this is the thing I always tell about you too, is I saw you for years and then I stopped seeing you. Mm-hmm. Now we're really in a good intro. And now I'm seeing you for the first time in years.
How many years, Pete?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I want you to know.
I think you should hold it closer like an ice cream
I want you to know.
Yeah, there you go.
that I have a hall of fame in my office.
Oh, this is very good for me.
Of
What if you're like, and you're not it? You just mentioned it.
no, it's not. No, this isn't about you. Actually,
Oh, okay, good.
About the people that you've from your people. People love you.
Yes.
I mean, people just adore you, and they
come to see you now.
so many people at your recommendation.
Yes.
And it's like, how did you hear about me? Pete Holmes. How did you hear about me? Pete Holmes. Pete Holmes. And what's fascinating, because other people give me, recommendations, but they're all like cool people.
Yeah.
They're smart. They're interesting.
Oh, all the ones that
all
come.
the people,
mine.
all the patients that come in.
Yeah.
And it's like they love you.
Oh, well, that's wonderful.
I mean, they just think you're like, well, they are like, you have this sense about you that first, anyone ask me about you, first thing out of my mouth, he's wicked smart.
Oh, that's.
Now,
You made me believe that, actually. I think when I started seeing you, I didn't know I was smart. I know that's crazy.
It's kind of crazy.
But you need, like, therapy, and you specifically, like an older male figure.
Yeah.
It's like mythic. You
Yes.
need like an Obi-Wan. You do.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
goes like, hey, you're smart.
Yeah.
And and week after week, it like starts to sink in. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, it's
And I
kind of
love
like me
Wicked.
saying you're tall. And you go, well, wait a minute. Really?
Well, this is great because it stuck. The me that didn't know
Yeah.
he was smart isn't there anymore.
That's right.
He didn't leave. He merged. He grew
merged.
up.
He
grew
merged.
up into something
Yeah.
better.
In one of my analysis, in my last analysis, I had a reunion, in my high school reunion. And one of the things I said to him is, and I'm not a tall man. I was 5'11". Now, I'm getting close to 70, so I'm getting on the other side of that.
Wow.
But I did say to my analyst, it was interesting. I was tall. I'm taller than a lot of my friends
Yeah.
in high school.
Yeah.
I just felt small.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was so interesting. Like, I thought that I was shorter than them.
Well, speaking of mythic, there is a myth. It's the myth of the wolf that's raised by sheep. Do you know that one?
Tell me.
It's real brief. It's right up your alley. But so a wolf separated from his wolves and finds a bunch of sheep, and he starts hanging out with the sheep, and they give him wool and they cover him up, and he eats the grass, and he's raised by them until he's a young man wolf, like middle-aged wolf.
Yeah.
Then a wolf sees this ridiculous sight. He sees a wolf covered in balls of wool hanging out with sheep, and he's like, what are you doing? And he takes this, it'll make me cry. He takes the wolf and he finds a puddle and he puts his face over it and goes, you're a wolf. Like, look at yourself. You're a wolf. And I like this part. Then he gives him meat. I guess you could say he kills one of the sheep, but the way I heard it, he just gives him meat. And the young wolf chokes on the meat, which I think is essential because there's always that resistance. Every movie, once you know this formula, every movie has the call to adventure, and then you resist the call. You don't want to go.
Yes.
Luke doesn't want to go.
Yes.
Then his aunt and uncle are killed.
Yeah.
And then he has to go.
There you go.
By the way, watch any movie, and this is there. It's classic Joseph Campbell. So he chokes on the meat. That's the small version of the resisting. Like, you're a wolf. But then he realizes, I'm a wolf, and somebody like brings him home. But you need that archetype. It's powerful.
It's one of the reasons why in my work, I can't tell you how often I quote Star Wars,
Yeah.
because it's just low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
right there.
what you just talked about is really quite beautiful.
Right.
And in Star Wars, it's the same thing. It's this archetypal idea of being a man. I think a lot of the problems we're having in our world right now is because men are just completely lost.
Yeah. I
And
agree.
they've lost their masculinity. They don't know how to be.
Yeah.
And when you were talking about the wolf, I was thinking, like, how would this go in Florida?
The wolf.
This is like conversion therapy or something.
Yeah,
And I'm
right.
thinking,
It could be
oh my God, you're
misused.
telling me to be something that I'm not?
Yeah. Yeah, it could be scary.
It could be kinda
but it is.
scary.
You know, you're reminding me of something else I heard. It's not a myth. It was a mythic storyteller. I heard him talk about how so many young men are suicidal. And he framed it really beautifully. He was like, what they realize is don't jump off the bridge. He's not trying to be funny. He realized, he goes, there is a part of you that needs to die.
Yes.
And that gets confused into
Yes.
I need to die.
Exactly. It's
Right?
very, very.
Doesn't that just give you the chills?
It does. It's so smart. A lot of times when I'm working with couples.
Go over the bridge. Sorry, that was the end of it. He goes, go over the bridge. you don't jump over the bridge, but when you get to the other side, you left something behind.
Yes.
Sorry, when you
No,
work
that's
with
fine.
couples.
When I work with couples, often the marriage is so shitty. And I tell them, this marriage has to die. Like, this marriage is over.
Yeah.
Like, whether we can reconstruct another marriage, another relationship that's
Right.
healthy, but the one that you're living right now is rotted to the core.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's the same kind of thing. Like, you don't have to die. You just have to sit there and say, look at exactly what's in front of you.
yeah.
Take off the Vaseline and say, this isn't pretty.
And answer the call.
Yeah.
So when I saw you and I was in that relationship that I keep trying to, white glove it, but like I was really miserable. Nobody who, for me, I was 50 pounds heavier, like 45 pounds heavier than I am now. So that, I'm pretty big now. I was pretty big. Drinking constantly, smoking constantly, because somebody called it a cocktail relationship. They were like, it makes sense 3 cocktails in. Like, you're like, this is fun if you're a little...
It's so true.
Isn't that good?
So true.
It's like, this works.
This works.
So that was my coping. That was like a stress in my life.
Yeah.
If I sobered up and I was like, I don't know about this. Oh, have a cocktail. It's like another kind of meat. Have a meat. You're this.
Yes.
And one of the things that you said to me was, and it again, it's just making me so grateful for you, how far I've come, is I told you I was making a list of reasons to break up with this person. Because I thought breaking up with a person, everybody that listens to the show or has listened to the show knows I feel this way. I thought it was like a mean thing to do.
Yes.
It's like an unkind thing to do. So I was making a list. The list, by the way, was very long. And you said, this is, come on, not you're a wolf, like you're mean, but like, come on, you can say yes to a different situation. Like you're saying to those troubled marriages, like you guys can kill this and say yes to something better, and we'll start it today together. But you said, and I remember it vividly because you probably had to say it more than once. You were like, you don't need a list. You can just say, I don't need to give you a reason, which was absurd.
Right.
I don't have to build a case.
Right.
Because this person, I had tried to break up with them 9 times. It stuck on the 10th time. But 9 times I had broken up with them and they talked me out of it. It was just that scene in Glengarry Glen Ross where Al Pacino's talking to James Link and he's just like, I can't negotiate this. Like, you're just better than me and I'm going to buy this.
Yes.
So please stop talking.
That's funny.
That's how I felt.
That's a great example.
Right?
That's a great
She was
example.
just better at sales.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm unarmed for this. And you were like, you don't need them to say it's okay. You can, and this was the quote, you go, I'm going to bounce. That's all you said. And sorry, all these memories are coming back. She also used to yell at me, and I was so scared. I didn't know this terminology, but I would go into my child self.
Yes.
I would become 7 years old.
Yeah.
I'm huge. We've already covered this.
Yes.
And I thought she could bing, flick me like an ant into a volcano.
Yeah.
I thought she could kill me.
Yeah.
And you said, when that happens, after it's reached a point where, like, you weren't teaching me avoidance, but you're like, if she's just being unfair to you, as Eckhart Tolle would say, she's just in her pain body. She's just looking for something to feed on. You would say, you say, oh God, I love you for this. You went, you have a credit card?
That's right.
And I was like, yeah, I have a credit card. Yes. And you're like, any hotels? Any hotels near where you live?
Yes.
And I'm like, the thought of it. Now, look at me.
Yes.
I'm now a person that would do that.
Yeah.
I would go, this is talk. We lived in the same building. So I was like, this isn't working. I'm going to leave. And
Yeah.
I don't even have to,
Yes.
I don't owe you. And I don't have to list
And
the
it's
reason.
it's a revelation.
Yeah.
People will come to my office and someone will say, my husband's this and he's this and I this. And I said, how did you get here? And they go, I drove. I go, well, you have a car? They go, yes. I go, real? And you have credit cards? They go, yes.
Yeah.
I said, oh, that's remarkable.
But the spells we're under, right?
The spells we're under.
And the spells we agree to be placed under.
It's about we get in trouble when those parts of us get split off.
The powerful parts?
The dysfunctional or the boy.
Yeah.
The boy gets split off. And the boy that was you, 7 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was 6 years old.
Yeah.
He's still alive.
Yeah. No, mine's alive too.
To
yeah.
this point, if I'm walking down the street with you and we come upon a homeless person, to this day, because you're with me, there's maybe a 7% chance that I'm going to give this person money more than if I were by myself.
Yeah.
6-year-old Gary, and he wants to say, hey, Petey, look at me.
Yeah.
Aren't I a good boy?
I'm a good boy, yeah.
I'm a good boy. He still exists.
Buddy, okay. So I was just talking to somebody about this, and they were very top down. And Val is very bottom up. So she's always trying to get me to be in my body and learn about that boy, right? And again, I feel emotional just talking about him. But I was trying to explain to this, I'm very top down too, but he was very heady, and I was trying to be like, there are irrational responses. There just are. You go like, well, that's stupid. I'm not 7, but it's just happening. So the example that came to mind was, my parents are always trying to get me to visit more often. It's classic.
Yeah.
My parents, to say something positive about them, they're very good at jokes. They'll take dark jokes. I'll be like, yeah, none of us really enjoy that. And they'll like laugh. It's like my favorite thing about them. You definitely taught me that too, is just don't.
I feel so good about myself.
Yeah,
right now.
you
Keep on
should.
Going, yes.
Don't spray air freshener on the elephant turd in the living room is what you always said.
Yeah, because it's teaching us something like, I'm a piece of shit,
Yeah.
so pay attention.
Yeah.
And if we keep on spraying it, we're going to step in it, and then we're going to get it all over us.
Yeah, pay attention to the shit.
Pay attention
But my
to it.
dad, he said, look, my parents aren't going to speak the way that I want them to speak. That's fine. They're doing better than their parents. I'm not just trying to be sweet. They're doing better than their parents, and I'm doing better with language than they are. But, and that's just how life is. But my dad was like, all he said was, been a while. And I wanted to be like, guilt is not sexy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's your voice in me. I go like, we got to do better than guilt. How about I miss you?
There you go.
How about, you know
Yes.
what's coming to town? This thing that is your interest. And I'd like to go and watch you enjoy that. Or I when you're at dinner, everybody, well, that is what they would say. Everybody's happier. And that's just the savior thing. Come and rescue us. But the thing is, so I will say no. I'll go like, we just saw you. We saw you this. And we'll figure it out. Very cat's in the cradle. I'll just be like, we'll figure out when's a good time. I'm really just kind of not going as directly as you. Why? Why not say, Dad, that's guilt. Dad, I don't really like it. Whatever it is. It's because of the 7-year-old. And I've tried to find that balance. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I could go, well, it's bullshit and we hate it and we don't want to visit. But there's part of me that goes like, that's going to be rough on the boy. And I'm instead going to play it a little safer because I don't want him to wrestle with that confrontation.
Yeah, but this is the other part, Pete, is you love your father and you love your mother. And they're good people. Like they're not monsters.
No.
Right? They're good people. So there's a part of you that wants to say, Pop, I love you and I know you want me to come.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to. So you say, you tell him so he doesn't have to repeat it 18 times. You go, I know that you really want us to come, and I know you miss us desperately, but we're not going to come right now. But we love you, and we're going to come probably in a couple months, and we'll be here. And so that part of you that wants...
name it? Is that what you're doing?
And I think that part of you that says that is not the boy, it's taking care of your father.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a very compassionate adult thing for you to do. The part of you that might get a little bit like this with the heart, and that might be the boy like, am I in trouble or is he going to do that?
Well, that's what I was getting at too, is like, I think what's crazy about the little boy, it sounds so cute. Oh, there's a little boy in me and he's scared. He actually thinks that if you don't resolve the conflict, you're going to die. Like, I really think he thinks he's going to die.
That's why that person within us, little boy, little girl, why they have such a seat at the table. Because they come to our world and they go, hello, who is it? It's 7-year-old Pete. It's 6-year-old Gary. I got something to tell you. Really? What do you have to come and sit down? I'm going to make you some hors d'oeuvres. You want a cocktail, something to drink. What are you telling me? Well, if you do this, you're going to be rejected. You're going to be alone the rest of your life. No one's ever going to love you. Yeah. We think that they are the word of God.
Right.
They are Moses at the burning bush.
Yeah.
Thou will be alone for the rest of, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So that's why we listen. And so what we do a lot of times is we say, why am I being so stupid? What's wrong with me? Which only validates that young person's voice. It only validates his hideousness. which actually makes him stronger in the negative.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, what I've thought, I think is a really great response, instead of saying, why do I do that? Because whenever anyone gives me like a why, like, why are you wearing this shirt, Gary? It's always a bad question because I have bad taste. Like, there's never a good answer for that.
Right.
So instead of saying why, try this. How interesting that I do this.
Yeah.
How interesting that I feel
Just
this way.
notice it.
Because then we have a sense of, let me explore it.
Yeah.
Little Gary wouldn't say how interesting would do it. But so that's why it's so powerful, these voices within us.
Getting curious about it.
Getting curious about
And
it.
not, there's a picture of Ram Dass. He talks about our errant thoughts, and they bother us.
That brings back a memory because
Tell me.
you would mention Ram Dass all the time.
I did?
Oh, yeah. You were a big
that's
fan
fun.
then.
I was just finding him, I think.
Yeah. It was good.
But he talked about you're meditating and like a thought won't stop. And he goes like, don't resist it. You sort of tussle its hair like a little child and just send it on its way.
Yeah.
So it's the energy that we give these things in the resistance.
Yes.
Right? It's like
It's the
charging
energy,
it.
and a lot of times we think that we're trying to advance ourselves by hating ourselves. Like, oh God, what's wrong with me? God, why can't I talk to that girl over there? I'm such an idiot. Instead of like, I know why I can't talk to her.
Yeah.
I know that I didn't have any masculine presence in my life, or my mom was always screaming. I know why.
Yeah.
So you say, the only option for me is not to be James Bond, but to walk over to her and say, listen, I get really nervous talking to pretty women.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say hello to you.
You must have taught that to me because when I was single, if I was in a bar, the most honest thing I could say, it would always be me and fucking Joe DeRosa. And we'd just be standing there having drinks, and I'm like, this isn't why we came here. We came here to hopefully talk to women.
Yeah.
That's why, that's what bars are.
Yes.
I mean, not always, but that's what this bar was for sure in this neighborhood. But we were just kind of standing around, and I would just get honest, like you were saying, and I would go up to a group of girls that were probably also there for the same reason. Mm-hmm. You can't know. I'm not assuming, but I would go up and say,
Vegas odds say yes.
yes, exactly. The bar I'm thinking of, it's a real dive. But we would just go up and I would say the truth, which is, I came here with my friend. I talk to him all the time, and I'm so bored.
Great. It's a great.
And those led to like, I'm not just talking about sealing the deal and having sex. I mean, they led to like great nights, like
Yes.
great memories. These two groups merged. Everyone won.
That's right.
And that didn't happen a lot, meaning I wasn't always in my highest self that I could be brave and do that. But I remember vividly the line was, I'm bored talking to my friends. What are you
Yeah.
guys talking about?
Yeah.
And you can tell, like, I'll go away, but I'm bored. Are you bored?
Yeah.
Are you bored? And I think that's pretty compelling.
That's not bad.
The honesty is compelling, right?
I might steal that in my work. I'm
It's your
sorry.
anniversary.
Yeah.
Oh, for your work. I thought you were going to go to a bar. Your wife's right there.
We're going to edit that one out.
Oh, we got it. That's the clip. That's the internet clip. I'm just kidding. No, you can absolutely use that. But that's your voice. That's what I mean is naming things. You're always trying to get me to be a little bit more honest and a little bit more
Yes.
unafraid.
And what do you find when you're honest? Like, this is going back to the beginning of our conversation, but it's one of the things I like to tell people all the time is just because we're not being nice doesn't mean we're being mean.
Right. And yes.
And it's like, I tell them, like, well, I'll be in session and someone was saying, well, I don't want to hurt my father's, feelings. And I said, I don't want to be mean. I go, let me show you what mean looks like. Dad, you just won't leave me the fuck alone. I don't know what's wrong with you. You just keep on you want more, you want more, you want more. Like, that's mean.
Yeah.
Let me show you what's not mean. Pop, I love you. I love Mom. I'd love to see you. We're going to, but we're not going to make it right now. So,
I mean, as you say that, something inside me starts to cry. Literally, it's that simple. Because you're catching me realizing that what I'm saying is unspeakably cruel.
right.
That I'm just like, I literally will hang up the phone and it'll stay with me that I'm just like, what have I done?
And let me show you. And just be a screenwriter. What does mean look like?
Yeah, I know.
Are you kidding me? I
Right.
would rather drink rancid milk, than
Yeah,
come over
yeah.
to your house.
Yeah.
That's mean.
Yeah.
And when I say that, people go, well, That's not mean at all. I'm saying, I won't be able to make it until, June or July. Then
Right.
I'll come.
It's just, I feel like I'm going to have to pay my copay at the end of the But that's what I was hoping. I was hoping that we could turn people on to the voice that you've put in that I still have. And you talked about, you did help me, you ushered me into a type of manhood that I wasn't comfortable with. And Val, if she were here, my wife, obviously, is like the beneficiary of someone who's made a certain degree of peace with that. Like, this isn't exactly the right example, but like, maybe we'll get back to that. But like, whenever I do my impression of you, it's always, who cares? That was always what you said. Who cares? Because I'd come in and I would tell you everybody knows the example. I was in an apartment, it had very thin walls. I'm a little embarrassed your wife is here, but like very thin walls, and my neighbors were having loud sex, and it turned me on, and I masturbated. It wasn't my wife. It was your wife having sex, yeah. And I knew that, and that's what really got me going.
That would be really weird.
No, it would. But so it's a little naughty, right?
Yeah.
I masturbated because even as I say it, although I'm not flesh. I feel like I maybe ought to be, but I'm not, because I've told the story many times. And I told you that. But when the boy that told you that felt like such a skis and so dirty and broken. And like I had violated like the idea of them. You know what I mean?
It's like you're writing a script.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, I had betrayed a social contract. You're supposed to put on the radio and pretend you don't hear it. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Noise canceling earphones? I don't know. Yeah. I was horny, I heard sex, and I masturbated. Yeah. And you went, who cares? It's very erotic. That's what you said. And we say on the show, it's like a catchphrase, it's very erotic, which was the most masterful way of just being like, it's literally, evolutionarily, the reason why women have loud orgasms is to arouse men.
Yes.
According to some people's anthropology.
It is such a miracle to get an erection. I mean, it is a miracle. However we get there. Right?
Well, take it however you want.
I mean, the example that I like to use is from Castaway. Look what I did! I made fire.
Yeah. Look what I've created.
And it's like this is why we're so proud of our wieners.
Yeah.
Even if you have a small one, you know that this little wiener could become this little less, little.
And it could make life. That's something.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's like we're so proud of our wieners, and but it also makes us the weaker sex. Because God forbid we can't get it up.
Yes.
Which is why I think women are much stronger than we are. Because holy Christ, if we can't figure it out.
I have so many jokes about this.
You do?
I say, like, I think the worst thing about being a gay man must be like if you lose your erection. Because losing your erection with a woman is bad, but losing your erection with someone who has an erection
That's so
is
good.
Like the worst. It's like, oh, it's so easy for you, like, and you're just there, like, I'm so sorry. It's like the before and after.
Yeah, that's
in
so
one
clever.
room, right? But I also had a bit. See, Val's helped me with this too. I had this bit on stage where I was like, men achieve an erection. Like you want to put a medal around it, like an Olympic medal.
This is why we need to build things. This is why.
That's what the Olympic torch is, by the way. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
and women have that drive too, but not the same as us. Like we have to create something. We have to build something.
Pouch envy.
We have to grow something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
Pouch envy and Donald Trump's name on buildings and big skyscrapers and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
It's making up for the fact that we're not the dandelion, we're the wish flowers that we just blow the seed around.
Right.
Isn't that funny? One of the most feminine images is like a child just going, that's us.
That's us. That's right.
We're just anybody.
And we'll go to great lengths.
Anybody want this?
Yeah, we'll do that. Right.
Yeah. But we don't. That's really interesting. So more memories are going to come to me. Tell me about who cares. How much of your job is saying who cares? To yourself, is that a coping thing? Not a coping. Is
I think my brand is I'm very plain spoken.
Yeah.
I'm just now I got to for all the people that are going to listen to this or watch this podcast, my powers, as Pete is telling you how great my powers are, I tell Pete to go climb Mount Everest, and you climb it. And I'm the miracle man because I say, hey, go climb Everest. Like it's such a joy when you work with someone and you say da 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 da, and you take the football and you go down and you score. It's like unbelievable.
Like coaching a game. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like unbelievable. So there's a part that is like, this is why you're like, I can't say you're my favorite patient, but you're my favorite.
Oh, good. I'm glad we had that on 3 cameras.
I just can't say it. So.
Oh, that's wonderful.
But
because it must be frustrating if people don't. Is that it?
And so you use metaphors, you use whatever you can to get people to do these things. But the fact that I could say it to you and you were just so receptive.
Yeah.
And then you, in your brain would automatically just you would make sense of it all.
Yeah.
And then you would say, that's right. It was almost like, it's very Socratic, like almost like you had the answers all along. And I was just like.
Well, why do I laugh when you talk? It's like when you hear the truth, it's really funny. Like saying, this isn't working, I'm going to bounce. Like, and you use the word bounce, which I thought was really fun.
Yeah.
Because it kept it light.
That's right.
It's not even I'm going to leave. I'm going to bounce.
That's right.
It's funny. I'm going to go.
Yes.
I'm going to leave so lightly. I'm actually bouncing.
Yeah.
I'm going to bounce
That's
out
right.
of here. Like, I
Because-
don't want to be abused anymore. I'm going to bounce.
That's right, because it detoxifies it all.
Yeah.
It makes it like, we think like I'm going to really hurt your feelings. If I say, Pete, I got to go, man. I got to bounce. Like I'm saying, oh, God, you're such a horrible, we come up with these stories.
Yeah.
Especially like if we've had an upbringing where whatever we say is, I'm causing my mother to drink or my father to get depressed, or why isn't my father being a father to me?
Right.
Every child would say it's their fault.
Right.
Right? We're perfectly omnipotent when we're childs.
Yeah.
I work with people who've been adopted from the vajayjay to the new family. And they will, 50 years later, they'll say, why wasn't I good enough?
Right.
To keep.
Right. I think that's very interesting. I think that's just a fundamental human wound.
It is.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but I actually think that might almost be an echo of a divine existential, like we've broken away from God, like the Garden of Eden sort of thing. But
Could you elaborate on that?
only if you really want me to.
I do. It sounds really interesting. Yeah.
I think one of the things that might be going on here is that God is one, everything is one. In reality, it's all one. Mm-hmm. And then what are we doing here? We split. So I think we walk around with a low level of confusion at best, but maybe even guilt and fear at worst, which is like we've broken away. We've
broken away from
God's perfect oneness.
God, yes.
So if God is one, which most of the religions at their deeper mystical levels would agree, it's all one. It's a non-dual framework.
Yes.
What the fuck is happening then? Because I'm over here and you're over there.
Yes.
Oh, then a voice, the ego, which is a liar, says, you killed God. God's mad. You've broken away. Then we make this world where we can kill each other. So you're guilty and I'm not. We scapegoat, we project, and at least we can hide here for a little while before he comes and kills us. Now, as I say that, I think that's deeply Freudian, and you can go less deep and just stop at the mother, and we split from that oneness, and then we have this mother wound and that guilt. So there's also, like, you could look at it, expand it to like a universal idea.
Yes. That's very good. That's very interesting.
It's interesting, right?
I'm going to listen to this on the back end and learn something more.
And play that at half speed.
Because I'm bleeding a little bit from my ears.
I didn't make it up. It's from A Course in Miracles, and Helen Schuckman, who wrote it, was a psychologist.
Yeah.
She scribed it.
Yeah.
She was a psychologist, so it's very Freudian. It's deeply Freudian.
It is true that if when people talk about, if we want to go a little bit into the religion, if people go like, the idea of God or a deity, if God is everything, right? If God is everything, then there's nothing, like, is there a hell? Does hell exist? Well, if hell exists, then you're instantly minimizing God, because God is everything but hell.
Right.
If God is my cup of tea, not my cup of tea, then God is everything but not my cup of
You've
tea.
drawn a border around it.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, God is limited.
Right.
So
You know what you brought back a vivid memory though, because I went to a Christian college and I would say things like that. And I remember my friend Heath was like, no, God is the ruler of hell, not the devil. And he delights in it. And I was like, you know what that is though? At least it's honest.
that is.
You know what I mean?
That is.
I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
If it's gonna be, in my opinion, a sadistic God who didn't like that I masturbated hearing my neighbors and wants to torture me for eternity for sins accrued during 80, 90 years, who knows? If that's really the plan of this all-powerful, incredible being, then at least make him do it. Don't make a devil that does it. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because then you're drawing a border around it.
Yeah, you can't. Then you're drawing a border around. So that's interesting though.
That's the rock you can't lift. Yeah, no, I was curious about your. We usually get into it later, but that was your office, right? Because I remember seeing Eastern philosophy and some of that stuff, and it came up from time to time.
Yes,
meaning I think if you, Dr. Gary Penn, believed in a punishing God, it would have come out in your.
Yes,
you wouldn't have been like, who cares? You would have been like, well, yeah, you should get an edible arrangement for your neighbors. Sorry, I listened. Just write sorry I listened and nothing else. They'll know. But it informs your worldview is what I'm saying.
My worldview is I have like a 48 by 48 photograph from the Hubble telescope right behind the couch where my clients sit. And it's a deep space thing of all these galaxies. And so people are behind me and they're talking about the mundacity of life. And I'm looking at hundreds of galaxies and now I'm going to get another one based on the James Webb. But I love that so much because it always centers me.
Yeah.
Because when we're complaining about, I masturbated and all these things and I'm not, advancing far enough, it always centers me. And I have a ton of books on astrophysics and physics because it makes me happy to know the enormity of, and then in our brains, how we just shrink it down to this little tumor and we're sitting there thinking, it's so enticing. We think we're working the problem if we cannibalize ourselves.
Yeah. It's Equus. It's the play Equus. I'll whip myself.
That's right. And we're being lazy if we say, I'm great.
Yeah.
I'm great.
Which is okay. The Course in Miracles would also say, if I can see you as a child of God, as perfect love, that's how I see myself. Like, and if I go, you're a piece of shit. Gary's lost it. He's fucking weird and selfish. He's fucking like, I'm weird. I'm selfish. I'm broken. I'm you. It's all the same. All us.
It's all the and the more you do it, it's about your own shadow. It's the quintessential evangelical preacher railing against homosexuality.
That's right.
And how much you want to bet what he does on his internet.
He's having 9 affairs, or sex workers and all that sort of. It's a cliche, of course. And I know I catch myself doing that. There's a picture of my dad over there. I catch myself, the things I complain about my dad, I know I'm doing. Like, that's where they're so delicious to me. But to go to your Cosmos thing, I've had a lot of psychedelic experiences where it's not just a concept, all one or God is love or something. You have like an experiential, timeless. It feels like it's as vast as that. So I feel like that is this.
Yes. Have you ever had those kinds of experiences?
Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah,
many. Many. Some of them sober too. I mean, not on a drug, but like. That same experience you're having, look at this person's thinking about, like, I told my dad I don't want to visit, and look at where he said it. It's a joke. It's a comedy joke to go, like, in this galaxy, on this planet,
that's right.
There was a little thing.
That's right.
And in his little pockets, he had a little wallet.
Yeah.
And there's a little chapstick.
And someone's keeping score of what you're doing.
Well, the audacity, and I actually... The thought that we think we can upset God is, I think, a form of narcissism.
It's total narcissism.
You agree?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I said fuck, and God wrote it down. Yes. Is like, you think God is like the Jason Bourne control room.
Yes. Yes.
Get the fuck over
Yes.
yourself.
I call it malevolent omnipotence.
Malevolent.
Where
omnipotence.
bad things happen because of me, but good things happen in spite of me. It's like some people, they just go dark on themselves. Like,
Right.
You got to be a real douche to say everything that goes well is because of me. Like
Right.
those kind of people, you're going like, dude, like really?
Right. It's another type of self-centeredness.
That's right.
I guess I would love to just find ways to load you into your classic DGP-ness. Is there a lot of narcissism? What are people dealing with? What is the thing
it's interesting because my wife's here and she's an amazing artist. And what I've been telling her, because she's the sweetest, I'm not going to get emotional. She's the sweetest, most.
It is their anniversary, so.
Yeah, it's my anniversary. She's the sweetest, most kindest, just. And I've been.
Can I tell you how healing that is?
What?
Just that example.
Yeah.
Like you remain an archetype in me. And it pains me. Talk about me loving my mom and my dad. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just saying that was beautiful. And it's so valuable. I'm so glad you said it. Because people that love their partners.
Yes.
And especially for a while. I mean, what anniversary is this?
Yeah.
What
13.
13.
Yeah. We started late. Yeah.
Still, I mean, fucking beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful. And it's just like, it's just, I wanted to say that we had sex the other night, but my wife gets mad.
No, I know.
Because whenever we have sex, I tell everybody. I swear to God, it's the weirdest thing. I was playing golf on Sunday. We had sex on Saturday, and I was telling everyone I had sex last night, first thing out of my mouth.
In someone's backswing, I hope. I had sex last night. Into the woods. And what do you think that is?
Anyway, let me
go on.
Wait a minute, Doctor Holmes.
I find that significant.
It's like me showing my mom I got a little poop here. Like, look what I did. I pooped.
That's right.
Okay. So I said, honey, you need a big shot of narcissism. And there's toxic narcissism, but then there's really good narcissism.
Right.
And a lot of people, they're just so afraid to say, I'm great at what I do. Yeah. I'm really good. And what I have to offer is wonderful and it's beautiful.
Yes.
And it's like, we're so afraid, like, well, what will people think if, like, what is that about? Like, what is that about where you just can't say, I'm great?
I have a theory.
Yes.
Because the more success I've had, you do start to feel a little isolated. I was talking to Val, this is a weird thing to say, but things go sideways and you're up. There's no GoFundMe. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You can't go to your friends and go
That's
like,
right.
I can't pay the landscapers this month.
Yes.
So there is like this weird isolation. And I think I'm reading this book called The War of Art. Have you read The War of Art? You would like it. It's very much like you. Right. I can summarize it in 3 words. It's just do it.
Okay. Good.
Just write it.
Yeah.
But then he breaks down what you're afraid of. Mm-hmm. And one of them is, if I succeed, I'll be an outlier and I'll be alone. So it's like the 7-year-old boy. Mm-hmm. If I humiliate my father by outshining him, he will eat me. It is,
it's well, this is a little tangential, but when we when we evolve and we grow, we become lonely.
Yeah.
Because it's like the bell curve. The further you go along, the fewer people. It's easier to be in.
You mean it's the bottom end of the bell curve? You're down here alone. Yeah.
It's like it's easy to be at the big San Antonio Convention Center, hands raised, that we're being saved by Jesus or whoever, and you're feeling like, and it's harder to go do the hard work of like what you're doing, and you say when you're reading and you're exploring and you understand and you're challenging yourself to understand. Yeah, it's a road less traveled.
Right.
Sometimes it's very lonely.
So there can be a fear to that.
It's a fear to that. It's a fear to that when you break up with somebody and you do something for health.
Well, that's what she said, by the way. She said when it finally stuck, she was like, "You'll see. You think great people like me are everywhere. You'll see." Yeah. What is she saying? Subtitles on. She's saying, "You're making a mistake. You're going to be alone.
You're going to be alone.
You can't do better than me."
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean? That's what I took it as. Like,
interesting.
And boy,
who said that again?
The woman that I broke up with after our time together. Yes. But that's, and you know what else happened? Sorry, I want to get back to helpful narcissism. So I have a pin in that. But when we broke up, the first thought I had was, what if there's an earthquake? And I realized I had been ascribing to her a role, like almost like a maternal or a paternal, a parenting role. Like, you make me safe.
That's right.
Your fear and your scariness and your sexuality, all of it
Yes.
makes me safe. And I infantilized myself. One time we had a fight. I just think this is helpful. We had a fight, which means she just yelled at me. That doesn't mean, I kind of wish I had fought, to be honest, but I just was berated and scared. And I got in the car and I sat there in the driveway for like 5 minutes trying to remember where Franklin was. And we lived between Hollywood and Franklin. You could see Franklin, but I was so frozen, so in my fight, flight, freeze, and I was frozen.
Yeah.
Couldn't think it's right there. It's one of two choices. So these fear things take us over. So the helpful narcissism was helpful in that breakup, and you're saying it applies to creative endeavors. I think you were saying.
It totally does, because what was, let's say, preventing my wife from getting critical mass was not feeling the power, not feeling, not feeling this sense of power and excitement and knowing that this is going to be great. This is going to be great, or I hope it's great, or I hope it's not bad.
Yeah.
If I'm if I'm the Masters and I'm the Masters golf tournament and I got a 20-foot putt, the sports psychologist will say, we want you to visualize the ball going in the hole.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, okay, it's 20 feet, it's a little right to left, a little downhill. Make a good stroke instead of, I hope I don't fuck it up. I hope I don't make a mistake. I hope I don't do this.
Yeah.
And you're going to grip too tightly.
Yes.
And you're going to miss so it's that kind of narcissism. I'm going to,
Yes.
like Michael Jordan,
Yes.
Tiger Woods, they visualize it going in the hole.
They understood this is what I always make this joke. I'm like, this is why advertising works. It's like what we hear changes your behavior, changes your reality. And they've told us that Twizzlers make a movie better. And we go, I think Twizzlers makes a movie better. How many people ate Italian food when they watched The Sopranos? We mirror these things, and you're mirroring these unhealthy, repetitive patterns in your mind.
Is that seems to be what's happening in the dark side of our country. People are mirroring Trump.
Yes, right. And he's giving us an externalization of some of our more base.
Yes.
Trump is my dad can beat up your dad, writ large. And he's the dad that you say he can beat you up.
Yes.
And I actually, it was a exercise in compassion to go like, I get it. You know what I mean? I get the guy that goes like, shut up. Everything's like, ozone layer, there's no ozone layer. It's fine. And I was like, there's a real comfort in that. I'll give you an example from my own life. My dad, he wasn't a COVID denier, but he wasn't being careful. He actually brought it home and gave it to my mom. And in darker moments, I'm like, what if that had gone the other way? She was an at-risk person. But it just kind of worked out, which is annoying in its own way, but also I'm glad that it worked out.
Yes, yes.
And I really got curious, like you, about that. I was like, my dad didn't wear a mask, and he kind of was like, bah, 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 bah. And I found, I'm not saying all of me, because my intellect and my grown person was like, that's irresponsible, this sucks. And then I found the part of me that was like, yeah, he's my dad, he's invincible. I found my dad can beat up COVID part of me. And it helped me find compassion. Sometimes you're so scared, you'd rather have a guy that goes like, COVID, schmovid. Like, that's the best you can do.
That's really interesting. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, really?
That is like, that's one of the smartest things that I've heard is like, I've always been like a little puzzle, like, why are these people like voting against their interests? And like, what's the matter with Kansas? Like, what the fuck? Why are these people doing this?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I feel safe.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand getting behind him.
Yeah.
And being like,
yeah,
this guy's crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this guy's fucking nuts.
And he's president, and I'm crazy too.
Yeah,
so I could be like,
Right.
Yeah.
It's what we're talking about. It's like projecting and scapegoating and stuff.
Yeah.
I think a lot of liberals will go, I can't relate to that at all. And I'm like, I think you need to go take the elevator lower maybe. Or not even lower. Let's just say to a different floor and find a a weirder part. Because watching the show Succession, did you watch Succession?
I watched some of it. I didn't watch all of it.
This is a weird thing to say, but my Logan Roy, the dad character, reminds me of my dad in some ways. And
How so?
easy. I'll stick the landing on the point and we can circle back to that.
Fair enough.
But anytime the kids, because they're all trying to usurp him, anytime the kids do, and he's a little bit broken, I can't handle it. And it made me recognize, I thought I just wanted to defeat my father or break him.
I see.
And then it helped me get in touch with a truer part of me, which was like, what you pointed out already. I think the people I'm protective of, my parents are at the top. Like, I wouldn't want to, the thought of my dad being broken and going like, I am scared of COVID and the end of life is overwhelming to me. Like, I couldn't handle it. I'd be like, oh, no, Red Sox. Here's some ice cream. Let's watch the game, big fella. Like, I can't handle it.
Yes.
Like, I thought I wanted to defeat him. I figured out it's way more tender than that.
It's a little heartbreaking. Your father's 70s and 80s.
I just turned 80.
Yeah, it's such a shame that people just can't be like fluent in how they think about these things, like how they think about death and talking about it. And it's like how they just like, we can't talk. My family was so locked down, so incredibly locked down. My parents would not, it was 5 kids in my family. They would not tell the kids how old they were. Let's take a moment of silence here, please.
Wow.
They wouldn't tell, like, how
Like
old
a
are you?
denial of
like on a
death thing?
birthday. We don't know how old they were. Wow. Like, they would not tell us how old they were.
Wow.
And it's
How
like,
old are you now? No, we don't do that.
We don't. And it's
No.
like finally when they were, my mom had like her purse or something, and we got to the driver's license. We felt like we won the lottery. Oh, she's 47. Like we finally knew, but so locked down. That's just a metaphor for everything, for sex, for this, for that, for money, like death. How they feel. I tell people all the time: talk to your children about death.
Yeah.
How you think about it, how you feel about it, what you want them to think about when you go, and just be very conversant about it.
Right.
Let's not make it a boogeyman, like, oh my God.
Well, you're bringing up I just called my mom this weekend, and unfortunately she has Parkinson's. She's doing fine, but she just got diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too. But then I think she watched the Michael J. Fox documentary, and she was like, that stupid Michael J. Fox. Like, she was like against him. She was like, that nincompoop Michael J. Fox. And I was like, what? This guy made a movie about your disease. You'd think she would be like,
You would think.
thank you for your honesty or your vulnerability.
Yeah.
What she didn't like about it was that she was like, he talked about falling. Why don't you have a walker? He talked about he could barely talk. Shouldn't the medicine be helping him? And I was like, Mom, I was like, tell me if this isn't a therapist move. I go, I hear a lot of fear. That's what I said.
Of course.
I go, I hear a lot of fear and I understand. And then I was just kind of poking around, what kind of conversation are we going to have? I said, and also, wasn't it kind of vulnerable that he was honest?
Yeah.
And she's the one who gave me or introduced me to faith. And it's so funny that, like, as she's getting older, she's kind of going more, like more on her own, which is a weird move to me. But anyway, I go, Mom, we can't put our faith in our bodies. Like, that's silly. And this is like an AA thing. I go, the Parkinson's isn't the problem. The fear is the problem. Like, let's talk about the fear. The Parkinson's isn't doing anything in this moment. You're afraid in this moment. None of this was working. It was just that nincompoop Michael J. Fox.
That's so sweet, though.
Which part?
What she said, it's like, it just sounds so sweet and so like, it's so young, like you're, like there's a monster in the bedroom and like, you're just like, oh, you're covering your eyes. And like, it doesn't
you're
exist.
Right. Because, it's funny in a lot of our work, and I still could be wrong. And I mean that very sincerely. I say this with humility. I thought my mom and I had like an inappropriate, like it was like she was in love with me and I was in love with her, certainly, because I was a little boy. And which, by the way, she said that at one point because I told her all this. I was like, I think maybe this got blurred. Like,
Yes.
Dad wasn't really showing up emotionally, so we leaned on each other a little too much. And you know what she said? She said, "Well, my therapist says you were in love with me." And I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" I was like, I was 6.
I barely like you, but you.
That is right.
So here's.
With more work, to your point about it being like a little girl.
Yeah.
I think it might be more father. It might be more she lost her dad pretty early, and I think she was looking for more of a father because it was never like gazing and holding hands. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It was more like, "Will you save me?"
Oh, I see.
And even in that conversation, that's what was happening. It was like, can you help me feel better? And I was happy to try. And I do want you to know this. After that stuff, I was like, we can't rely on our bodies. I did go, this is just a fear phone call. And I was like, I can tell you're not in the mood for the metaphysics. Maybe let's just talk about how shitty it is to have Parkinson's, and that's what we did.
Yeah. I have a tangential thought. So
please,
this is like one of my musings that make me happy.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying it's true. It just makes me happy.
Yeah.
So the reason why it is more acceptable in society for women to be lovers instead of men to be lovers, I think it's much more of a stigma for homosexuality than lesbianism.
Yeah, I hear.
It's not that lesbian.
Yeah, it's also homosexual. I know what you mean. Gay men are stigmatized more.
Yeah. And the reason is if it would be different if men lactated.
That's where I got this thought. I've said this on stage.
You did?
I got it from you.
Oh, great.
That's what the money was for. These are my bits now. I go, if a woman licks a boob, that's still the second boob she's licked.
That's right.
Even if it's your first
That's
boob.
right.
I got that from you. I didn't know I did.
Father. Oh,
I never did
God.
on a special.
Yeah, that's okay.
but I took that right from you.
Oh, good. I'm going to call up writers union.
It's not a good time.
It's not a good
It's not a good time. They're bigger fish.
Yeah. So-
He'll be like, he
yeah.
took something from one of our sessions.
All right, here's the other musing. Just since you didn't ask.
I didn't mean to take your punchline.
No, that
I was
was
just
it.
so
That was-
excited.
no, that was it.
That one stuck with
Pete,
me.
that makes me very happy.
It's also the second vagina because you come out of a vagina.
You're making it even bigger. Okay,
Yeah.
like it, not bigger. Shh.
Yeah.
So, so the other part is, oh God, did I just lose it? Oh Jesus, it's right here.
I always have something.
All right,
You want something?
go ahead.
Because you know what that made me. I don't know if we ever talked about this, but I thought you were going to say, in this country, we hate things that get invaded. And women, so we look down on women, obviously. There's a lot of misogyny.
Goddamn women. Go ahead.
There's so much.
Yeah.
And it's in our language too. Go get fucked, fuck yourself. Like we don't like things that get, so gay men with being, penetrated.
Mm-hmm.
Lesbians, it's way safer. They're in beer commercials is what I'm saying.
That's right.
Because no one's getting penetrated.
No, that's a good one.
They're just like Coors Light, and there's just like two twins in a bikini, and
Yeah.
you're like, and they fuck. Like that's the implication.
Yeah.
Like let's name it.
Mm-hmm.
This is a sexual fantasy. These girls are into each other, even though they're twins. It's so fucking weird. But that's why the SNL commercial Schlitz Gay was so funny because you'll just never see it. Michael Shea had a great joke. I mean, it's a little cheeky, but he goes, "I don't want a gay son," and he lets everybody sit with that. And he goes, "I also don't want a straight daughter. I just don't want anyone fucking my kid." And I was like,
that's funny.
that is naming what we're talking
Yes.
about. For some reason, we only, in the Western society, we only like things that impose, that invade, that take. We don't like things that yield, receive. There's no room for that. I mean, there's obviously microclimates of room for it.
That's good.
But as a country,
That's good.
we invade countries, we drill oil, we jizz it all over
Yes.
Alaska.
Yes.
We burn it, we eat it, we hunt it, we kill it. We don't want to, make a joke, be like, oh, is that hemp milk? Great British Bake Off. You just got me started. Why is baking so feminine? Eggs, milk, oven. It's writ large. It just is. It's your mommy is pulling out cooked parts of other animals' I'm not trying to ruin it. I'm just saying
No, I
it's
got it.
literally eggs and milk, baby food and babies. you know what I mean, in a comforting, warm, nutrient-dense, it's
Yes.
basically breast milk in a cake.
Yes.
And that's why we're more comfortable with
And isn't that fascinating that here, you are in your 40s, I'm in my 60s, and these aspects are still powerful in play.
yes.
It's like, as smart and evolved as I think I am, all of a sudden, I'm just sitting there and I'm just like a monkey,
Okay.
sitting there masturbating. It's like, what?
You're nailing it.
What's going on?
You're DGPing all over the place, and I love it. This is a good example of what I hear you saying is we are susceptible to these things, and it's helpful just to name them. I'm not putting a value judgment on baking having a feminine energy.
Yeah.
Obviously, men
Yes.
do it. It's there's no judgment there. It's just an observation.
Yes.
It's helpful to my own filing cabinet of my psyche to just go like, I recognize that. Similarly, here at this house that you walked through, I remember Val was making dinner, and one of our guy friends was staying with us, and I came home. And by the way, no pop-up. You used to call those pop-ups. I'm not going to clear my throat. I'm just going to say what happened.
Okay, good.
I came in, and Val and this guy who we both love were like barefoot together in the kitchen making dinner. And listen to the language here, in my kitchen. Right?
Yeah.
I understand this is possessive. It's not very...
But it's very human.
But that's what you do, is you just said, instead of going, well, that's your friend.
No.
And he was making you dinner. You know what you said? You just went, it probably took me 45 minutes to tell you that story, all the conflicting feelings. I feel bad, and I feel bad that I feel bad. I feel possessive. I feel like, get out of here, like Odysseus. I'm like, what is this, a suitor? Like, fucking get out of here. And you just went, it's the wrong optics.
Yeah.
That's all you said. It's very erotic. It's the wrong optics are these very specific languages that don't even endorse or condemn.
Yes.
They're just sort of labeling, for me, and let's look at all the factors, coffee, food, how'd my day go? How many little assaults to my ego did I endure? Was it 15 too many? Micro things?
Yes.
Someone cutting you in line at the airport?
Yes.
Someone gives you a look?
Or just me looking in the mirror.
You look in the mirror?
God damn.
Yes.
It's like, what a micro assault.
What happened?
What happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
We're so fragile.
So fragile.
Sorry to keep talking about psychedelics, but I took a microdose of LSD once. It was very little, but people do that. And I was in the car. Val was driving, obviously. She wasn't on anything. And I just drove down the highway with her. And I was like, I could feel in my body every time someone just rightfully, not rudely, merged in front of my body, like you'd feel it. All these things that we ignore. It's this powerful lesson in like, life is so much harder than we think it is. And you are so much more vulnerable and susceptible. Even me just like this, like, look, I'm not saying we need to all become super vulnerable that we're paralyzed.
Yes.
But we can recognize that even me lunging forward or raising my voice, like, if you were really in tune with your body, you would go like, wow, I'm like there's a part of you that's
Yes.
keeping you safe.
Yes.
And it doesn't know. And it doesn't know that guy isn't having sex with my wife in that moment.
God damn.
You get the fuck out of here.
him.
Oh, I'll eat this, all right. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
you just greenlit that.
That's right. And it doesn't get better as we age.
That's helpful.
It's like, it just doesn't get better. It's like, oh God, like I was a god, I had hair and I had this and my joints were all solid and great. And
yeah.
and then all our friends have, what do they have? Someone's got this and someone needs back surgery and someone needs this. And it's just, but the point is it's getting us ready. It's kind of getting us ready to transcend our bodies.
Well, that's what I was trying to say to my mom, which, by the way, still glad that I let it go, because sometimes you're just not in the mood for that. And sometimes Ram Dass would say, you just have to go, that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
But I'm with you, and don't get me wrong, sometimes I don't want to hear it. But most of the time I take great comfort in going like, it's in Fight Club. They go, the Mona Lisa's falling apart too. Like it's Buddhist. This cup is already broken. This guy's already dead. You're already dead. There's a great comfort in that.
But it's really smart and it's very like evolved. Yet when I'm getting results from blood work when I go to the doctor or something, and they're calling me to tell me,
yeah.
It is impossible
To
for
go,
me
I'm already dead.
It is impossible for me to have my heart rate be slow.
That's right. Can I? That's so helpful. My great teacher, David Nichtern, who's one of my friends, who's also a teacher, he's always reminding me, relative truth, absolute truth. He's like, absolute truth, we're both already dead. Yeah. Relative truth, I hope my blood results are okay.
That's right. That's good. I like that.
I get a little too...
Yeah.
What are you on about? It's all over. It's already happened.
We're all the same star stuff from the furthest planet in the furthest galaxy. This is who we are.
Right. Well, you know what enables me to have that worldview too is those experiences that I've had where I'm like, it's already done. It's already done. Meaning, everything's okay.
That's right, and that makes me happy. I mean, it makes me happy to look at the deep space field, to know the enormity. Why it makes me happy. It doesn't, I think like this is, I think there's no death because as Newton tells us, energy can't be created or destroyed. We're only transformed.
Yeah. This episode, guys, very appropriately is brought to us by our friends at BetterHelp. As you can see, getting to know yourself is a process. It takes help, it takes guidance, it takes mentorship, it takes expertise. And as you can tell from this conversation, talk therapy is more powerful than the sum of its parts. It seems like you're just chatting with somebody, but when that somebody is a trained professional, they have a way of guiding you and helping you through some of the biggest, toughest stuff in life. Like before I went to therapy to see Dr. Gary Penn, as you're listening to, I didn't know what codependency was or how to end a relationship in a healthy way, as we're discussing, or set up boundaries with my family, with friends even. It's tricky stuff, and that's what therapy is all about. Deepening your self-awareness and your understanding and equipping you with those life skills that literally make your life better and more easy to navigate. Because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk things through. And BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Because the more you know about yourself, the more easily you can maneuver through life with less suffering and more clarity for relationships, grief, loss, anxiety, you name it. Talking about it with a professional helps. As you can hear, it makes a difference. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, I think that's wonderful. Give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can even switch therapists at any time for no additional charge, so you can dial it in just right with the right person. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/weirdo today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/weirdo. Also, in my arsenal for anxiety and overwhelm, I'm holding it up for the video, I'm shaking it for the audio. These are PYM Chews Prepare Your Mind. They taste amazing. They're sugar-free. I love it. They help you manage feelings of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. If you're like me, you might be a little bit skeptical about a tasty little citrus-flavored chew that can help with those things. But when I first tried PYM Chews, no joke, not reading a script here, it made me feel so calm and confident and locked into my body in a cozy and good way. I subscribed immediately and got subscriptions for my mother and my brother. I was like, look, we're all wired the same. We need help. It's wonderful when you're feeling worried, stressed out, or you just have that bee in your belly that won't settle down. You just chew 2 of these delicious, naturally flavored, no sugar added chews, and in minutes, you start to feel more centered, calm, and in control. I like to take it at the start of my day to ease me into whatever I'm about to do. Sometimes I can't face my inbox. Take some PYM Chews, gets me in that flow. Or I take them at the end of the day to wind down and let go of the stress that I accrued during my activity. How does it work? PYM Chews are comprised of proven amino acid complexes and adaptogens that help support your brain and your body's ability to organically support and manage and tolerate stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. So these are proven compounds that can help your body do what it is designed to do. I take it along every day with their Mood Magnesium. Over like 75% are deficient in magnesium, and their Mood Magnesium includes 3 magnesiums with the most evidence to support their effects on stress and sleep. Very effective in helping you fall asleep fast and stay asleep through the night. And a percentage of all of their profits, 1%, goes towards mental health nonprofits, including the great one, Bring Change to Mind. So help your body and your mind fight off stress, anxiety, and overwhelm. And added bonus, sleep more deeply with PYM. Seriously a game changer. Go to youcanpym.com/weird and use promo code WEIRD for 15% off. That's youcanpym.com/weird. Promo code WEIRD for 15% off. All right, everybody, let's get back to the second half of Dr. Gary Penn.
So I'm going to give you one of my musings. You'll tell me what you think about it.
And I could just go, I've been doing that on stage for 6 months. Forgot I stole that from you.
So here's one of my musings.
Hit it.
Why someone's a transsexual, a lot of suppositions. In their last life, this boy was a girl. He gets reincarnated. A lot of suppositions. Last life, reincarnation, and you have a memory trace of your sex.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people who are
That's really interesting.
who are transsexual, they go, I knew since I was like 3. Like when you're 3, do you really think to yourself, oh, this is my penis? You don't even know where. It's like a little. I'm gonna play with it. It's this. It is what it is. But you're not thinking like, of course I have a penis.
Right.
Or
where's my penis?
Yes. Or as my last analyst said to me, Gary, you're looking for a happiness. I'm sorry.
Happiness.
Yeah.
So, for those of you who didn't get it.
So anyway, so they keep a memory trace, and the reason is in their last life they were female, and they look down, they go, I'm in the wrong body. So that makes sense. That these things make me happy. It could be total BS.
Right. It's a thought experiment.
Yeah, it's a thought experiment.
I'm with you. I'm with you that it's very interesting to consider. And also it reminds me of those stories, in India, a girl is born and she's going, where's my husband? You hear these stories. Where's my husband? Where's my husband?
Oh, interesting.
And they go, he was murdered. This is a true story. It's in a book called Life After Life, I think. It's just a book of reincarnation stories.
Okay,
I actually don't recommend it. It's deeply academic, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But this story was good. Meaning it's it's all footnote. It's like reading a textbook. But the story is this little girl goes. She accused someone in the village of murdering her husband. Little girl. Can you imagine how off-putting that is?
That is very odd.
A 6-year-old is like, that guy killed my husband.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you talking about? She's like, he hit him over the head. This obviously was before I was born. I'm going to make the story a little better. Like, let's say it was with a hatchet.
Okay.
And he buried him over here. And they went over there and they dug it up, and there was a skeleton with a hatchet in his head. And it was this guy, and his wife had died as well, and she was reincarnating. You get the story? That's the punchline.
It's a great one.
Let's go back to something that is a little bit more on earth. The narcissism thing.
Yes.
I'm noticing that that's helping Val. I'm this, in great part thanks to you, that's like, I've gotten in touch with like, it's okay to be smart.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to be driven.
Yes.
It's okay. I'm not being an asshole.
It's more than okay. It's terrific.
It's terrific.
That you're smart.
Even you saying that now, it makes me feel good.
It's really terrific. It's terrific that you're compassionate and you're this and you're that and and you love your wife. It's great.
And then Val is on the Enneagram. I don't know if you know the Enneagram. She's a 9, which is a peacekeeper, and she mirrors people a lot. And my favorite people are 9s. Just really groovy, wonderful people. But she's learning how to be. I'm a 3 and a 4. A 3 is an achiever, and a 4 is an individualist, and I'm right in the middle. But she's learning how to find her 3-ness, her 3-ness. There you go, her 3-ness. And it's beautiful to watch. And it's sort of, it's an echo of what you did for me, I do for her. And she listens to me 1 out of 5 times, where it's like, just cancel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to go.
Yeah.
That friend, and Val's going to listen to this. This isn't a secret. That friend stresses you out. Just say, I can't tonight.
Yeah.
My friend goes, no is a complete sentence. You know that thing? It's like, no, I can't. It doesn't work.
like that.
I gotta bounce. But like, I also love her tenderness and her softness, and I love that she's not like me. I wouldn't want to date or be married to someone that's like me. But the example is, this is, and I'd love to just launch this into you, launch this into you, Dr. Freud.
Mm-hmm.
We were driving to Leela's school from LA though. So this is an hour and a half away.
Okay.
And she had to pee the whole time. But to be on time, she held it. Like the last 20 minutes, she was like, I really got to pee, but I'm going to hold it. I was like, okay. Got to school. I get out of the car. I run in to get Lee. I told this with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but Val runs into another mom. And I immediately go,
No.
she's not going to pee. I just immediately know she's going to, and it's beautiful, she's going to prioritize the social interaction with this woman. And I go and get Leela. This takes 10 minutes. I get her, I sign her out. I walk out, Val's still talking to this mom. And I just go, Val has to pee. Val has to pee. I'm sorry. It's over. We love you. Val has to pee.
Yeah.
And I'm literally pushing her. I just feel like you'll agree. That is
It's spectacular.
spectacular.
It is spectacular. And it's
and that's, you taught me how to do that. It's okay.
It's so simple, but the thing is, it's spectacular, and it's like it doesn't make sense that it's spectacular,
Right.
but it is spectacular.
Right. Nobody's yelling.
No one's yelling. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah,
Like,
it's
no
not
one's
mean.
doing that. No, it's not mean.
I do it at hangs, dinners. I know it's a little bit strange, but sometimes I get social anxiety or whatever it is. I'm just feeling uncomfortable. I've learned to just go, this is done. I say it. It's like a joke. It makes people laugh. I go, this hang is over. And everyone laughs. But like, go ahead and laugh. I'm
Yes.
glad we're laughing.
Yes.
But it's also my truth. This hang is over. Val has to pee. And again, not talking about genders necessarily, but it's masculine and it's beautiful.
That's right. It is masculine, and it is. I'm so glad we're talking about this, Pete, because like in the last 5 or 6 months, I've been talking about narcissism so much in my work. I've been talking. I give supervision to a couple of therapists, and I keep on one in particular. I keep on telling her you have to be you have to embrace your narcissism. Another man who's sweetest guy in the world, but always, is it okay if Gary, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And I'd say, knock it off and
Right.
just say,
like
ask
you
the-
with stop the pop-ups. Stop the pop-ups. Just say it.
Yeah, just like stop. And he's starting to be powerful. His career is exploding. And the person I'm giving supervision to, her work is getting so much more powerful, and people are so much more responsive, and people are moving. The narcissism, it's a neutral word. It's not negative. It's neutral. It's like, okay, however you want to
It's not
understand it.
narcissistic personality disorder. It's
No.
just narcissism.
It's about having a sense of, I'm powerful. I have something to say. I have something to offer you.
I can look at my reflection in the lake. It's
Yes.
pretty.
Yeah,
it's
it's
okay.
pretty. It's
I'm not
okay.
going to look. The disorder is I only look at it.
That's right.
But it's also a disorder to never look at it.
That's right.
Right?
That's right. That reminds me of Narcissus and Goldman. If you read that from Herman Hesse,
No.
Back in the day, back in Bedrock. It's a great book.
But am I right in it saying it's
Yes.
arguing that there needs to be a little bit,
Yes.
again, Val's narcissism, Val's looking at her own reflection and saying this person deserves to not feel uncomfortable and have to pee.
Yes.
I have to pee.
That's right. And that is.
It's not being a piece of shit.
It's not being a piece of shit, and it's just because you're not nice doesn't mean you're being mean, and it's just like this thing of
It's just put it on a golden coin.
Yeah, like what we do to ourselves, like disproving negatives.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think. And the goal of therapy, in general, at least the way I look at it, Freud said it as well. So I don't know. I probably would have thought of it anyway.
Men have nipples. Oh, no.
Is to make the unconscious conscious.
Yeah.
And Freud said if you make the unconscious conscious, you're able to work and love well. And I thought that was smart. But if you make the unconscious conscious, so when you're unconscious and you're making excuses and then you notice it and you go, oh, how interesting that I'm doing this again.
Yes.
Or how interesting that I'm having trouble saying that, I got to go pee.
Yes.
Because that is you going through a wormhole. All of a sudden, a person who's 50 years old loses a decade. You just go through this wormhole and you're back in 1980 or something. And
That's right.
How did that happen?
Right. Sorry, they both very lovingly saw me looking for a pen. I missed it. but I know what I was going to say. One was Big Boobs and one was Iron John. Have you read Iron John?
Such a long time ago.
Yeah, because it came out in like the 60s.
Yeah.
But he talks about these men's retreats where one of the things he would have the men do is pick up a sword. Like they had a sword. And just like kind of an Arthurian,
Yeah.
just to start the day,
Nice.
hold it up,
Yeah.
just take up space and hold we're not going to kill anything. This
Yeah,
isn't violent.
Right. It's just
We're just going to go huzzah. Like Walt Whitman. We're going to barbaric yop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he was like the number of men that couldn't do it. Because this was, the 60s and the 70s obviously was a beautiful time. And it was when we started kind of being a little bit more embarrassed of that stuff. I would say rightfully so. That's my opinion, is some of the stuff
I think you're
needed to be tamed.
You're absolutely right, which I think, by the way, this is going on what you said, is that this is why men these days are so broken. I think men are having the biggest problems in the last 40, 50 years. Women are smarter than we are. They're more therapized than we are. They're more college educated. They're more even in math and other things. And men are just since they did, fiber optics under the Atlantic, all the jobs that they had that gave them a lot of our population self-esteem. I could work at the plant in Akron, Ohio. I could make a good living. I had union wages, and I had double time, and it's all gone. I could get a little cabin in the lake. I could feel like a man taking care of my family.
Right.
And now it's all gone, and men are just lost these days. So good.
And then I have him go, let me know if you need me to lift anything heavy, which is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And even as you're saying it, I know in modern times there's an impulse for me as the host and wanting to look good to be like, not that that's the only thing men can do, but I'm saying for me,
yes,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I can be honest with Val about that. The conquest.
Yes.
And it does inform our sexuality.
Totally.
If I go and close or kill, what do we call comedy? I killed.
Yes.
I mean, if they tied a deer on my car when I left the Comedy Store, I wouldn't be like, get that deer off of there. You should be so lucky to feel how a comedian feels leaving. I have to admit, I've never done cocaine. I think it must be like cocaine.
It is. Isn't it amazing when you're on stage and you just have them in your palm and
But it's essential. I think a lot of my mental health, believe it or not, people talk about the sad clown, and of course he's a drug addict, and of course they killed themselves, all this sort of stuff. I know there's a lot of mentally ill people in comedy. There's also whatever they're prescribing, it's 1,000 times better for me. I'm talking about Xanax.
Sure.
Things, anti-anxiety, antidepressants.
Yeah.
I go up on stage and I'm heard and I get the sense of being in control.
And you're loved.
And I'm loved. That's a feeling for sure.
Yeah.
And you changed reality.
Yes.
You imposed.
Yes.
You were not imposed. What do comedians call? You bomb. You also say, I died. I'm dying up here. So you either kill or you die.
Yes.
So my well-balancedness, and Val and I joke all the time that I'm 70-30 feminine. I don't know the exact numbers, but one of the reasons I'm so comfortable with that is because I have a deeply masculine practice that I get to, I don't want to vilify it and say exercise it. That makes it sound like a demon. I get to exercise it. I get to go out and do it. And Val loves it. One time I told a crowd, fuck you, never go to a comedy club again. And she couldn't have been more turned on. And I said goodnight. It was after doing an hour of stand-up, and I hated them. And I went,
nice.
Fuck you, never go to a comedy club again. I walked off stage and they played Kanye West, Can't Tell Me Nothing. And Val couldn't, she still talks about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what a gift.
What
Again,
a gift, yes.
I'm Mr. I told you about how embodied I'm trying to be and how evolved I'm trying to be. I'm all for it.
Yes.
But it's this little thing that we're not really talking about very much is I'm like, want to know why I'm so comfortable saying I'm 70-30 feminine is because I get to go out and I'm not hunting, but I feel like I'm hunting. My psyche thinks I come home covered in blood. And that's why I'm blasting Kendrick Lamar in the car. And it makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
This music makes sense
That's
to me.
right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
Like I understand it. I listen to battle raps, like people dissing each other. And I'm like, yeah. Fucking get it. Like, I love
good.
it.
That's
And then I
good.
go home and I hold my daughter, and I'm better for it.
Yes.
I'm on a
No,
tear
go,
here.
kid. I'm liking this.
Put rouge on me. I'll wear whatever you want. I'll have a Dolly tea party. I'm all about it. I'm as gentle as a breeze with my daughter. And then Daddy gets to go and do this thing. And I think that's sort of maybe a little bit underreported in the modern age.
I think so. I think that only a man who is very at peace with his masculinity could say I'm 70-30 feminine.
Yeah.
So it's just proving your
Right.
your masculinity.
Right. Which is the whole ploy. No, you know what's funny? Sorry, do you have more?
No, that's good. That's good. No, keep on going.
I'm going to put this thought to you. Being a man is tricky as fuck. This is what I mean by that. I was going to write this as a joke. List all the drugs I've done. Pot, LSD, mushrooms, DMT, ketamine, whatever it is. And then go, you know what? The craziest drug I've ever done is testosterone. It really is, for me. If you want to talk about something that's like going to reveal something, like, you take mushrooms and you're like, it's going to take me on a spirit quest. Testosterone is a motherfucker. Meaning, just the past couple of years, everyone knows I'm going to say this, I just started lifting weights. Why do I mention that? I think it's quadrupled my testosterone. And you wouldn't believe I understand every werewolf movie. I understand every monster story. And I understand my father.
Yes.
And it's scary as fuck. Talk about Luke going in the cave.
Yes,
And it's you.
yes.
It's you in the mask. And I go, oh, I have to bite my tongue. I have to excuse myself. I have to go, I can't talk about this right now because inside I'm the Hulk. I don't mean muscularly. My body's pretty much the same. But I've started getting, and it does feel like having a sword, and nobody taught me how to use it. You know what I'm saying? So this is just more to load onto you and what it makes you think of.
It's what I was thinking about as you were talking is it is so human. Like I feel really great right now. Like you've been so generous with me. You've been so kind to me. You've been so complimentary. It feels great.
It does.
I mean, it just
I have
feels
a big thing.
great.
I'm like, why don't we do it to each other? Why don't we give it away?
Yeah,
give it away.
I could just run down your street like naked.
Yeah.
And going,
I talk about that on stage. I go, joy is so easy.
Yes.
What are we doing trying to raise the stock on our praise?
Yeah, or
by withholding it.
Or by saying, oh, whatever, it doesn't affect me. Like it feels great.
Yeah.
And when one of the people I work with say, Gary, when we started today, you said, you changed my life. Like what you couldn't give me a better gift.
Yeah.
Like you're sitting there and you meet someone and you have 50 minutes at a time and you wonder, like, do I make a difference? Am I going to be remembered? Is this something? And you
have hundreds of kids, I'm imagining.
And you gave me this gift.
Yeah.
And
it just feels good, doesn't it?
I'm just going to feel good for a long time.
But it feels good for me too. That is the weird.
Yes.
Giving is receiving is what.
That's right, and that is
recognizing.
masculine and it's powerful. And you're saying, I'm going to make you feel great.
Thank you for saying that, because you just married it to what we were saying before too. Is like, it's not masculine for us to go up the mountain and go like, keep up, boy. You know what I mean? Which is what we think masculinity is.
Yes.
But it's so, talk about fucking imposing. What imposes more than love or praise?
Yes.
Or encouragement? Or like, I noticed you did that pretty good. I can't do that.
Yes.
Like, that's fucking, why is that? It's not just, that's not feminine. That doesn't mean you've done something feminine. You can, that's still in your power.
Yes. And it brings up, when I grew up, I had such shitty parents, such really awful parents, that if you couldn't do something right, the only thing I knew to do was to make fun of you. And to this moment, I'm writing my second book. It's
I I still can't believe my life came to this.
No. I still can't believe.
I still can't believe my life has come to this. The first one's called I Can't Believe My Life Has Come to This.
It's the working title right now is a little bit better.
It's great.
Because one of my things I like to say is I try to be a little better today than I was yesterday and a little better tomorrow than I am today.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of haunted by the shitty things I've done. I feel like, Jacob Marley, wandering like,
From a Christmas Carol?
What's that?
Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
Want to make
like
sure.
making, people feel bad.
Yeah. By the way, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I just want you in this moment. I was just thinking about this yesterday. We all act like we're all going around, everything's fine. Hello, I've always,
So true.
I've been kind in every situation.
Yes.
And we can't get enough of movies where something's chasing you, something's going to kill you.
Right.
You're guilty, you're murdered.
Yeah.
There's haunted houses, there's literally people under the floorboards, there's zombies and demons. And we love these movies and we flock to them and we need them. And those same people are, not everybody, but on the record, in the lights, and you talk to them, they'll tell you that they're not embarrassed of their past. They're not ashamed of mistakes that they've made.
Yeah.
Because there's no room for it. It's like in a social media world, it's like, no. Then why is the number one genre right now horror? If I want to sell a comedy right now, I have to be like, and there's a clown who has a sickle. Like, that's the only way.
Nice.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Which is it? We're all golden children?
Right.
Or we're deathly afraid of the blood in the elevator? I think it's the blood in the elevator.
I think so. I think we know that it's there, and we want to be told that it's okay.
Yes. Terrible parents make fun of people when they stink.
Yeah.
I interrupted.
No, but it's such a that's when you were saying it's very masculine too. So my sense of masculinity was toxic.
I see.
Right. Part of my growth is being married to a kind, loving person, and you go, like that's a possibility.
Yeah.
So you learn, you sit there and you don't even realize it. It's kind of like through osmosis, all of a sudden I'm going, nice.
Yeah.
This is nice. And she's, and
We're
she's,
both going to cry now because I'm thinking about Val
Yeah.
and the grace of finding a Val.
Yeah, that's right.
And you had a lot to opening up to that possibility.
That's
When I wrote down boobs, we'll get to that. But sorry, I sort of lost the thought. But when you meet someone who's kind, they're reparenting you.
Yes.
I used to think it was so weird that people call their partners mama. I call Val mama all the time.
Do you really?
Because it started with Leela. I'd go, do you want mama? Now I'm just like, hey mama. And I go fucking just own it. just be fine with it.
Who's your daddy?
Yeah. Well, dude, I used to have that as a joke. I go, the whole thing's Freudian.
Yes.
You're calling him Poppy.
Yeah.
He's calling you mama.
Yes.
And you're trying to cram yourself into your first apartment.
Yeah. That's good.
It's so
Yes.
fucking obvious.
Yes.
That it's hidden.
Yes.
Right? So let's just laugh about it.
Yes.
It's okay. But I feel her, again, my parents, I'm not just saying this, did the best they could, did a great job. And they're the parts that needed to be reparented, I'm reparenting them. I say to that 6-year-old, 7-year-old, I got you.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
worry.
Yes.
And Val's got you. That's another thing going on. So let me tell you, talk about how emotional it is to think about the potential of these partners, thinking of where I was when I saw you and the hand you had in being open and receptive to somebody like Val. Val is a curvy woman. She's a sexy woman. And that, I swear to God, when I first started seeing you, was something that I was uncomfortable with. Because I have a joke about it. It's on one of the specials. I used to joke, when you introduce that to your parents, you have to say, this is what I'm into. It's overt. There's a smoke screen of dating someone who looks like what you think about the classic beautiful woman in American culture. Beautiful, but not overly sexual. So you can bring her home.
Yes.
And when somebody's sexy, or let's just name it, big boobs, you're like, I like big boobs. It's fucking embarrassing. I couldn't even green light that. I'm saying that wasn't the most powerful. We can take masculine, feminine. It just wasn't. I wasn't standing in my power. I wasn't being honest.
Yeah.
And I started dating Val when you and I were together.
Yes.
When you and I were together, but you know what I mean. And I used to be like, I'd tell you that feeling and you'd be like, again, who cares? Sounds great.
Yeah.
And I say this when we talk about therapy all the time. It's greater than the sum of its parts. It wasn't just my doctor saying that's great. It was an archetype. It was, again, a man who's older than me saying, you belong in the tribe. I know what you mean. That's beautiful. I'm glad that's what you want. It kills me. My God told me, you know, it wasn't a real God, don't masturbate. Don't be sexual. If there's a girl with big boobs, run away, jerk off, come back.
Be ashamed.
Be ashamed.
Yes.
And then ask her friend out because she looks like, you know, Winnie Cooper from the Wonder Years. Don't date the sexy one. Remember in the Wonder Years there was the sexy one?
Who was I can't.
Madeline or something? It's the two types. It's angel whore complex.
Yeah, I keep on thinking of Winnie Cooper, who always looked like she had indigestion.
Yeah, she had an
There was
interesting
something
look.
like going on, like she was like she either had like a hemorrhoid or indigestion.
Yeah,
Like,
she wasn't comfortable.
Yeah, she was never comfortable.
She had resting uncomfortable face.
And then the thing is now, if you want to get into Winnie Cooper,
Yeah, I do.
we got
No, I didn't mean it that way.
my wife and I got very addicted to Hallmark Christmas movies.
Good for you.
So we would just be like sitting there
Yes.
eating like, mac and cheese.
By the way, does anything sound like love more? Val and I, we joke that we're like lesbians. We watch Blossom. We just throw on like old sitcoms.
Blossom.
That's love. If somebody says me and my wife make popcorn and watch Blossom or Hallmark Christmas movies, I go, this is a mitzvah. What a joy. I'm so glad you found your person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True. That's true. So just so you know, Winnie is now on like 10% of the Christmas movies.
Oh,
and she still looks like she has indigestion every time. I can't find someone to love. Like something's wrong.
And it's Christmas.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
and what am I going to do?
And then of course, she ends up finding someone to love.
The parade leader or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah,
that's so beautiful. Yeah, but you really specifically told me it was okay. The things we don't know are okay. That is that topic. The things we don't know are okay.
Yes.
It's okay to break up with somebody. By the way, do you know the end of that story? I had the list.
Tell me.
This is when I was seeing you in Santa Monica. It's a long drive from here.
Brentwood,
forgive me. It's all the same.
Yes.
To me. Brentwood is Santa Monica to me. Which, by the way, reminds me, I tried to get Judd to see you, and I think he was scared to see you because I was like, yeah, he's fierce. And Judd was like, I don't know if I, like, I was like, no, he's not going to take any of your shit. He was like, I'm not sure. I'm sort of like I don't think he ever called you. You don't have to speak on that. That's
I wish
confident.
he did not. And
Okay.
Now I'm mad at him. So if he's listening, I won't even see you if you beg.
That's so funny. Yeah,
Yes.
now we've turned the tables.
Yeah.
But I'm driving back. I go to, so there's three parts to this story. Part one, I was so torn up about this relationship that I called the writer's room I was in. Everyone was passing around this number of a psychic, and it was a tarot card psychic in New York, which I think is really interesting because we're calling her from LA. This is before I'm famous, so there's no Googling, there's no, there's no tricks,
Yeah.
at least that I can tell. I just got the number and I called her. We set up an appointment, called her. So I emailed her and I don't know what happened. Who fucking cares? I got on the phone with this woman. Real kook. But right on the money. I've told this story a million times. She said, who's Boog? I called my girlfriend at the time Boog, not a common nickname, short for booger.
Wow.
She goes, who's Boog? One of the first things she said. We were not writing Boog on each other's Facebook walls. That's important. There was no Boog.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. Also, what kind of lunatic for $40 is going to do that deep of a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she's just going, who's Boog? And she said it after I said, let's talk about love. Then she goes, there's someone on the other side who is pulling for you. Because she goes, this almost looks like love. That's what she said, which is just haunting when you really want it to work. She goes, this almost looks like love.
Oh, yes.
Isn't that just
Yes.
breaks my heart?
Yeah.
Even as I'm saying it. I'm glad that didn't last.
Yeah,
but
you're on the clock. You don't know it yet, but you are.
Yeah, exactly. It broke my heart. And then she goes, she kind of implied, you know what you need to do. And she goes, there's someone on the other side, on your side of the family, pulling for you to do the right thing. I didn't know what that meant. I couldn't figure out who it was. Might have been my Uncle Larry. I don't know. Somebody who had just passed. Then I go and see you. This is part 2. You say you don't need a list. You're very fervent about this. You don't raise your voice or anything. You're just like, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You can just say, I'm going to bounce. I don't believe you, though. I'm driving, that's part 3. I'm driving home. This isn't safe, but I'm in traffic. I take out my phone. That's where the note is. And I open the note. It was under something covert because I didn't want her to find it.
God forbid.
Long ass list. Yeah, one of the things on the list is Snoop's on my phone. So I think of another reason to break up with her, even though you just told me.
Yeah.
And even though the psychic tells me there's someone pulling for you on the other side, I open my phone, I start typing in the note, and the phone goes black. It's never happened before or since. Phone just turns off.
Okay.
Reboots. Everything's normal on the phone except that note was deleted. Isn't that crazy?
That's trippy.
Trippy. Everything was there.
Yeah.
That note was deleted.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, that, to me, I don't know how to call it literally, but I was like, that felt like a person on the other side going like, he's right. And I think we broke up pretty shortly after that. I think I used a line that you gave me, which was, I tried to just be as blunt as possible. And this sounds uncaring. I'm not saying this I'm not beating my chest. I'm saying to people in situations where you can't figure it out, sometimes you have to say it very plainly, and it's not mean, but it's not nice. I said, I don't want to marry you. I don't want to have kids with you. And that I had to say it. It hurts me to say it now, but I had to name it, say exactly what you mean, because I think this person thinks you're just playing cat and mouse, like, oh, I'm going to break up with you. I was like, no, really, I've thought about this.
It's so true because you can't say like, I'm thinking that maybe, we should think about like the people like are so uncomfortable saying, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to marry you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have kids with you. Like when you give someone really tough news, there's obviously exceptions, but I almost always coach them to say, give them the bad news first. I'm breaking up with you.
Right.
It's over. I'm going to move on. And then, well, why? Well, I could tell you why, but this is not negotiable. This is my truth.
Right.
And it makes things a lot easier, I think.
For everybody.
Yeah, it's just like we know how the story ends.
Yeah.
And I've moved on. But again, it's like living an actualized life. And I'm not saying that I'm actualized or I'm as actualized as I am, as are you. But it's a hero's journey.
Yes.
It is an absolute hero's journey. It is lonely sometimes. As you go along the bell curve, which we talked about before, you get lonelier and lonelier and lonelier. But it's a great journey. I mean, the win is amazing because you start.
It's worth it.
It's worth it because it's like we're not gripping all the time.
Yeah,
we're expansive. Like the goal is to be expansive, not constrictive.
I think you're gonna love this. It was on when Letterman, I think, interviewed Jay-Z. Jay-Z said, my friends say, sometimes friends I grew up with say, you've changed. And I say, hell yeah, I've changed. You think I did all that work to stay the same? And I was like, God damn it, that's DGP all the way.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like, yes. That's something else you taught me, is concede the point.
That's right.
They go, you'll regret this. I might regret this.
That's right.
It's
one of the best.
It's also true. Yes. I might regret this. I don't know how I'll feel.
That's right.
I might.
And so what's the crime? I might regret it.
And then I'll come back.
And then I'll
go, fuck, I messed up. Of course, in my mind, I'm like,
yeah, right.
But just say, yeah, you're right. I might regret it.
People tell me, when one of the things that we do in therapy is some people are so defensive, like when you argue. And I say almost always accept the supposition. Gary, you're judgmental. I could be judgmental. Why are you telling me this? Gary, you're a racist. I'm sure I have racism in me. Like,
right.
Why are you saying this?
Yeah. Get curious.
Just get curious.
What do you mean?
But accept the supposition. You think you're better than me. Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
But people say, I don't think I'm better than you, or you're the one, and they'll argue, they'll have a fight.
Give them the dignity of like, I know I can be that way.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean I am being that way. I say, why are you saying this? Unless it's very obvious.
Yeah.
right? It's less this, but accept the supposition, and our life becomes so much easier, and all of a sudden we level up immensely. Because
Right.
how often do we argue and have fights over nothingness?
Well, in that situation, if she goes, "You're being selfish," you're going to go, "I am being selfish.
Yeah,
I'm looking out for myself right now."
right.
That's
Yes, Gary, you're being defensive. I'm not defensive.
yeah,
Like-
yeah,
Oh, okay.
right.
Sorry.
But that goes back to what Freud said. You know, it's like making the unconscious conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And how many of our dreams? I have those dreams. Obviously, one of my bigger fears is that there's a rage in me. Right. That's why I'm so forward with my hooray for everythingness. And when I feel it, it frightens me. And like getting into a place where you can go
Pete,
like,
you have that rage, and I've seen it, and it's
we fist fought one time in a
It's-
parking
yeah,
lot.
but
It was for money.
so so important.
You sound just like Val. Yes.
I mean, it's
your protector.
but it's more than that. It's such a great part of you. It's I'm angry for the things that didn't happen to me that should have, or the things, it's almost like a sense of self-love in a way. Like, don't you dare say I'm not, a good person. And I don't know, that's not very eloquent, but I'm just saying it's not like you're not going to act. Like if I have a fantasy of another woman, who cares? I'm not acting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not acting out.
Right.
You're not punching people in the face.
You've helped me, by the way, with that specifically with Val. It's like not my former self, my formerly married self would act like no one is beautiful, no one is sexy to you. And it's really healthy
Yeah.
for both ways. I'm well aware that Valerie has a crush on my friend, Brett Goldstein. And that's okay. And she knows, I'm trying to think who my person, I don't even know who, Kat Dennings maybe.
Oh, okay.
But like these babes.
Yeah.
And it's great when they're on TV and go like, there's your girlfriend,
Yeah,
sort of
that
thing.
some avatar that whatever. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you know what it is? I know she's not leaving, and she knows I'm not
That's
leaving.
right.
It's like
You're not playing with scared money.
we're not playing with scared money, so we can get like silly with it.
That's right. I tell people all the time, just play good poker.
Yeah.
Whether you lose, whether you get the inside straight, or whether someone just make good decisions, play good poker, and
Yeah.
you'll be fine.
And don't be frightened. And there's a problem if you are frightened, I think, right? I mean, like fear is the problem. It can be.
That's right.
I had other things. There were so many other things. Oh, you know what else you used to say to me? When I started getting more success in my life and your life starts to change. So I started seeing you before. This is the backdrop from the Pete Holmes show. And it was before the Pete Holmes show. So you really were there. I remember you said, it's like you're standing on the beach and there's a wave. You can see it, but it hasn't hit you yet. So we were already working together for years before that happened. And then you ushered me through. And there was just so much of, again, here's the pop-up. I'm worried this will sound cruel, but there are certain people that didn't make the cut into the new life. And that doesn't mean they weren't fancy enough, because frankly, I have friends who are way more famous than me and they cut me out. And I'm like, is it because I'm not famous enough and fuck you? Like, I don't like that. This is just, they didn't fit in the new frequency.
Yeah.
Some of them, maybe they were like, it was just too mean. It was this weird part of me that didn't like myself, that was attracted to this person that told me I was shit, something like that. Things like that. And I'm telling you about, I didn't even know how to say I'm reshaping my world. I didn't know I was. And do you remember what you said? You said Microsoft fires the bottom 5%.
Oh, right. No, it was GE.
GE fires the bottom 5%.
It's so funny you just said that, because I was thinking that about 20 seconds ago. Jack Welch, he said every year he would let go of the bottom 10%.
10%.
The bottom 10%, and a lot of people hated him for that, and he's kind of a douche, but it doesn't matter. But he would what he would say is, it's not that I'm being cruel. It's like, that wasn't the right job for them. If you're in the bottom 10%,
Yeah.
this isn't the right gig for you.
Yeah.
So let's move you to something else, or you have to find something else. It's not like I hope you just live on the streets and you eat from trash cans.
Just because it ends doesn't mean it was a failure. It's the same with a relationship.
Yes, right.
This isn't working, I'm going to bounce.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you suck.
Right.
It doesn't mean I hate you.
Right. It's just,
I'm not embarrassed. There were good times. You changed my life. In fact, that woman, I swear to God, I refer to her as my jailbreaker because I didn't realize that I was in these prisons in some of my family structures, and she shocked me out of it. She really did, because the beautiful thing about her was that she was loud and brassy and in your face. And my family came and it didn't work and it shook it up and it literally blew a hole in the prison wall. And then I went out it. And that seems kind of cruel, but it's also kind of like, no, that was great. I hope I broke some of your walls too. But in the end, I think we're going to go our separate ways.
Yes.
It's the bottom 10.
that's right.
I remember you saying that. And again, the things people think are wrong, going like the Jay-Z thing. I've changed. I don't want to be,
That's
I don't
right.
want to smoke cigarettes and drink whiskey at 11 a.m. That's what I used to do. I don't want to do it anymore.
and he's leveled up, right?
Who?
Jay-Z.
Oh, I don't know. I meant me.
Yeah, I
Whiskey
know.
and cigarette.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I
No,
thought you
Jay-Z.
said- I think that he said it, but yeah, but of course you've leveled up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was a time in my life, it's a self-love issue. It's like, this is what I deserve. I should be hungover. I should be bloated. I should be struggling. Like, who am I to, step out?
It's this is a little tangential, but so many people have a psychology of poverty. Like they're afraid. A lot of my colleagues are afraid to charge as much money as they should.
Yeah.
They're just terrified. Like it means something. It means like they're greedy, or it means like they don't care about their patients. And I'm saying, not everyone's going to pay your top fee, but some people could afford it. And like it's expensive to live in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
They can't do it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are therapists. They just can't do it. And it's like they're tortured by this idea of what I deserve.
Right.
Maybe that's back to the sense of narcissism. Like, this is, if you do this, just take care of it.
I can still, so Father Greg Boyle, Homeboy Industries, he did this pod, and I was kind of hard that week on stand-up. I was like, because he's a spiritual guy, I was like, I want to talk about how spirit is the real thing and all that. And I was like, stand-up doesn't work. It's up and it's down. You get whiplash from it. And he just goes, but it's also your gift. And I was like, how many older men do I need to just say, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. But the narcissism is going, it's okay.
That's
what
right.
you brought to the potluck is okay.
Yeah.
One of the most profound, so I had this ketamine experience, and it was just so viscerally apparent that there's nothing you can do to fuck it up. Meaning, you can fuck this up. I can call you an asshole. Yeah, I've just fucked up. I mean, the big this
Yes.
can't be fucked up.
That's right.
It's untouchable.
That's right.
And
That's right.
why did I just think of that? I don't know, but
It's what I call, I think I said this earlier, it's what I call malevolent omnipotence.
yeah,
Bad things happen because of you, and good things happen in spite of you.
yeah,
So people think, oh, if I do this, things are going to fall apart.
yeah,
But when we do things the right way, we go, I hope it goes well.
right, yeah.
So there's less certainty with the good things.
Yeah. I think maybe I said that bit because the foundation underneath this is like, it's really helpful to find that foundation and act from it.
Yeah.
And then then it becomes a little bit easier to go, this is my gift. It's okay. It's not ultimate reality, but it's okay that I yell, she has to pee. She has to pee. That's just my gift in that moment.
Are you sound very, very you sound very healthy. Like you sound very powerful and comfortable.
Yeah.
It's really nice. Like you're just like
I appreciate that.
you're kind of like exuding, not like you're trying. It's just who you are. But you've always been that way. But
you saw, but what a gift. Thank you. You saw me at a very
I did.
newborn deer. And that was, and it really breaks I just wish that for everybody. I hope that they find mentors. I hope that they
Yes.
find, and it's funny, Mulaney used to have a joke about how his first therapist, he wouldn't talk until the therapist admitted that he wouldn't listen to him unless he was paying him. Like it was like this kind of bratty thing. I think he would say it was bratty. But I'm like, but your doctor also wouldn't.
Yeah.
If you were bleeding out,
Yeah.
it would help you in an elevator for free before they check your wallet. But you go in with a big problem, they also charge you.
Yes.
And like, it just is what it is. Going back to your therapist, it just is what it is. But like, there's somebody you can afford, and there's a lot of wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean that I get my top fee every time. I'll see. Some people pro bono. I'll see people.
It all balances out.
But at least for yourself, and change is one of the things I like to say is the difference between a lowland gorilla and Einstein is 2% DNA.
I remember that. Yeah.
So when we can just access this little piece, I mean, it's kind of like we could get past the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you see people, like you came to me and you were like on the tarmac.
Yeah.
And there was steam coming out and you were ready to go.
Right.
I don't think you knew it yet. You were diverted a little bit.
Right.
But,
I was pointing in the wrong direction. It's like, let's just turn this around real quick.
But all of a sudden, as soon as you get it, you start to like grow, but it's challenging. And all this Earth's gravity is trying to keep you on the tarmac. But once you get past it, and you're going around, and you're going around.
Yeah.
And then the world is kind of fantastic.
Yes. So you said I seem healthy, and that is the good news to share, is like this work of making unconscious things conscious. Some of it was ugly and very difficult. My mom and I went through a really hard period that she still references. I still reference. It was hard for me too, meaning it was not what happens on the hero's journey. There's always the wound. You get wounded, and you don't think you're going to make it.
Yeah.
There's the dark night of the soul. You got lost. Why didn't I stay in the village? Why didn't I just let what was happening happen? There was soup.
More why questions. Why are you wearing that shirt? I have bad taste.
Yeah.
There's only bad answers.
But I could have stayed in the cozy.
Yes.
At least there was a bed, and it's meatloaf night. I would have been home for meatloaf night.
That's right.
So it wasn't easy, but it's just a nice word to share that work led to the partner I was supposed to have. Mm-hmm. It led to my daughter, and I think people might see like, it's like I was saying, it's nice to be a success in the way that I'm a success, but the real success really is internal. I know that sounds crazy, but it really is internal. Like I have a partner that if it all went away, I know that we would be happy with one another. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? And she would love me. This will melt your heart. I go, God, Leela's only 4. I go, this is embarrassing. I go, what if I'm not doing anything cool when she's like 16? That's in 12 years. What are the chances I'll be in a TV show or movie or something? And Val goes, you'll be her dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just start crying.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Because you start to get the picture, and you're one of those, you help me get that.
Yeah, you one of the things I tell the people I work with is, what is your baseline? Because people have all these doubts. Like, what is your baseline of who you are and what you do? Let's say, as an entertainer, or as a thought leader, or as a friend. Like, what is your baseline? What I say to myself, if someone says to me, Gary, what do you think of yourself as a therapist? My baseline is, at my worst, I'm better than most.
Yeah.
That's my baseline.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not great. Sometimes it's usually my patient's fault, not mine.
Right. I'm realizing I taped that from your playbook into my playbook.
You did good.
When I go home and I had a bad set,
It's not your fault.
Val goes, how was it? I go, I was better than them.
That's right. That's so true. That's better said.
I was better. I mean, the audience.
Yeah,
though.
I know.
I was better than the audience.
I know. That's exactly right. But it's true.
But it is true.
Of course.
People, I go off on this all the time. Seinfeld says, never blame the audience. I go, that's like your guitar's out of tune and you tried to play a song and the guitar, it sounded like shit.
That's right.
You blame the guitar.
Yeah.
It was too cold out. It couldn't hold a tune.
Yeah.
Why can't I blame the guitar? I play the audience.
That's right.
I'm not mad at them.
No.
They're not idiots or stupid. Fuck them. It's not that. It just didn't work.
Didn't work.
bottom 10%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ripped so much from you. But that's it. And that's why I'm glad we're doing this, is so people can rip it from me and rip it from you. You're highly rippable. But these things make a difference. Yeah, it really does.
They make a difference, and Pete, you make a difference. And I'm going back to almost when we started, but you're loved, and people come to see me at your recommendation. I mean, therapist is a pretty personal thing.
Right.
And they say, I will go see you based on what Pete Holmes says.
Right. But that's a compliment to you. I mean, it's really cool. And, you know, I sometimes get the profound sense that it's all, like going back to the oneness of the universe, we're all playing with ourselves. I know that sounds like I'm trying to be funny. We're just kind of like dancing with ourselves or something. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't surprise me that I found you and found out. That doesn't mean things always work out. I'm going to, you know, we're going to die. Things go sideways. I get it. But like, it's beautiful. And then to be able to share it. I just think this is really special. I hope you feel great that you shared it.
I feel great.
And the book is called, now it's a late night show, but it's I Can't Believe My Life Has Come to This. Is a collection of your teachings.
Yes.
And the new one right now, it's not out yet, but there will be a
little bit better. Yeah.
A little bit better. Is it like the ape, 2%? Is that kind of the thesis? Is Einstein's only 2% better?
Oh, right. Yeah, a little. Well, it's basically, I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to be a little better today than yesterday, and a little better tomorrow than today. And I hope that's going to be who I am until they throw dirt on top of me.
Yeah.
I believe in evolution. I'm a work in progress. I think you're going to be the same way. You're going to be curious, and you're going to challenge yourself, and you're going to expand.
That's the whole thing.
That's it, right?
That's what Richard Rohr says. He goes, why are old people such a drag to be around? It's because their brains have atrophied. They've stopped.
They stop.
So you don't talk to them. They have like a library of records that they can put on. Mm-hmm. And here's my thoughts on this.
They don't want to talk about a lot of things.
No.
Like my mother used to say, it was one of the things, if I had a quarter for every time she says, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I would be living in Bel Air. I mean, they all want to like this.
It's rigidity.
Yeah.
It's an Alan Watts thing, and we'll close on this, but he said, don't be a pond. A pond, it becomes all scummy. And, you know.
So true.
Be a river.
It's one of my things. It's like sometimes like people's relationships are like a pond. I use that analogy all the time. You stole it from me.
No, it's like nature is there.
And it looks beautiful, right? But the water's dank. Like you can't drink. Like you need a brook. You need it to go over rocks.
Yeah.
To purify the water.
I'm not just saying this. I realize one final compliment. I really think not only did you shape my psyche and help me navigate my young adulthood, which was just so necessary, and were this father figure and remain a voice in my psyche that I consult with. I don't depersonalize, but I mean like you're in there. But I think you also just like, you helped my comedy and taught me how to like when the nipple thing, right? If we breastfed from our dads, I did that on stage. I didn't know it was you, but you said it without embarrassment. The guy that I take it as a great stride forward that I can just go like, and I heard my neighbors having sex and I jerked off. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things that's a prerequisite for comedy, but it's just a prerequisite for spaciousness and clarity, and go like, I don't know why, but that kid's face freaks me out, or whatever it is. Like, just, can we just say it?
Can't you just say it?
Like, I don't know why. Maybe that guy looks like someone who bullied me, but that kid's face freaks me out. Like, it's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And to find the people around you. So James Finley, who's beautiful, his episode came out a couple weeks ago. He says, your partner is someone who, you know, we're all wearing masks and we don't want to take them off. And you think you should, but you're afraid everyone will leave you if they see you. Classic. And he goes, your partner, you meet your true partner. They don't take off your mask. They straighten it for you. They go, let me help you. There you go. Now you look
that is so perfect.
Isn't that beautiful? And then he goes, and then eventually the mask becomes transparent. You're still wearing it, but it becomes transparent because they love you.
Isn't that great?
And that's what you did.
It's like the
that's
gold
what Val did, but you loved me in that way.
Well, that's
Who
what
cares is,
Pete, that's
is
what
one of
you've
the
been
voices
doing
of
this
love.
entire podcast.
Well, too bad there's no film in these cameras.
Holy cow.
But that's what it is. And
Yes.
it's free to give.
You've given
It's
it.
rare to find, though.
Yes.
So I hope there's a little bit more because of this conversation. I'm thrilled to see you.
Same here, Pete.
And I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you.
I'm getting off a Klimt.
I know. Would you say keep it crispy? It seems so silly, but the guest says keep it crispy. It's how we sign off. It's a rite of passage.
Keep it crispy, Pete.
You keep it crispy.
All right.
All right, let's go cry.
You made it weird. You made it weird.